Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. In the studio with me right now is Bernard Oredu. He speaks for the Ghana gas retailers. Very soon I'll also be joined in the studio by Yusuf Sulemana, who is a gas expert, a former staff of Tema Oil Refinery, and he's also a chemical expert, currently with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC. But Mr. Oredu, let me start with you. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What is what do you call a self-audit?
Internal scrutiny and maintenance.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
And why now?
Why now? It's because probably we have found a need now.
Really?
Yes.
No, I mean, Ghanaians are intelligent people, you know. So when you come, it appears to a lot of people as if this is like a child who is throwing tantrums, you know, because you're not happy with what your father has done. So you're throwing tantrums and disgracing the entire family.
I don't think so. You see, what really happened was that, you know, as an association, we had to meet to have some deliberations on the cabinet directive. So at the meeting, some members raised the issues of the rampant closure by the NPA. And at the last count, we had almost about 31. So upon deliberations, members resolved that if that is the case, on our own, we should do some integrity checks on our installations. And we constituted a committee and tasked them that they should go ahead of the NPA to make sure that the integrity of our installations are high up there, issues of safety have been complied with. So it is not as if it is something we're doing to spite anybody. Because you see, when NPA does the closure, or when NPA closes your outlets, you are exposed to fines, you need to go pay re-inspection fee and all that. And it's bringing us, they incur some losses. So if we could do that as an association, I don't think it's out of place. And we had interacted with those who had had their outlets closed down. Oh. So we knew the expectation of the NPA, the kind of questions they were asking, and their demands. So we are like, okay, then why don't we take it up upon ourselves? So now, even before they come, cease operations. Let the audit team, our task force, the scrutiny and maintenance task force come. Let them do the assessments before they give you the go-ahead to operate. So in the event the NPA audit team comes, you've had the benefit.
You're good to go.
You are good to go. That's all about it.
But that doesn't mean that you did not know, you did not understand the expectations of the NPA and other regulatory bodies of you, your members. They did not know what they were supposed to do in terms of safety at their workplaces.
Oh, no, not at all. If you ask that, then by extension, would you say the NPA didn't know what to do? It is just that we are responding to situations. And you know, issues of safety with gas delivery is not a one-off situation. It is a process. There are sequences. So as and when we learn new things, we implement them. So yes, we are acting not necessarily out of any like a child who wants to throw tantrums. Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
It is a safety measure.
Right.
And you know, safety at supreme. That is why we think it is high time we constitute this internal scrutiny and maintenance task force.
Internal scrutiny. Some will say after you allowed a lot of people to be injured and after you allowed about 7 people to die recently. But let's
no, we didn't. We have not allowed anybody to die.
Hold on.
It was purely an accident.
Yes, it was, and it is the same accident that is now pushing you to begin to check your safety measures. But let's leave it at that and look at exactly what it is that you're doing now. You're closing your shops. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so that's a better word. You're closing your outlets, which means that many people who depend on you to, for gas supplies are going to suffer. Exactly what is the plan? What is the strategy? Are you going to open at some point, or is it indefinite? What is it?
Well, we are very much aware the situation that the directive from us could create, but we are also minded of the safety issues. And we believe that, of course, probably it will bring some sort of inconvenience to the general public, but we think issues of safety should be paramount. So we believe that the team we have put up are very competent. They are going to make sure that if you should step any outlet from after their audit, you are safe, you know that there's no cause of alarm, you are very much assured that you are not on an explosion ground. So yes, we do appreciate and know the situation that it could create, but we think that it's also very paramount because it is issue of safety and there is life and death.
But did you not think there could be any other way of dealing with it but to close down your outlets. Couldn't you have dealt with it any other way?
Yes, that's probably would have been the ideal situation, because as we speak, we've had almost like 30 outlets in Kumasi and around Accra. So we don't know the itinerary of the MPA. If so, for instance, we had known that they are dealing with this zone at this particular period, and from here they're going to deal with the other zone, probably would have followed that. But now we are not in the know as to their next zone or region of operation. So we thought probably the best situation or the best thing to do is to just halt our members from operating. Let us finish our internal scrutiny and maintenance. Then we come back to serve.
A lot of people will see this as a deliberate attempt to get people to put pressure on government for them to perhaps go down on what they're doing, go down on the clamp down on gas stations.
I won't agree with such people, because we are doing it in the interest of Ghanaians. Because you see, the point is that there have been issues of safety. And we think that probably now that everybody's interest is on LPG delivery, it is the time to let the people know that we are also taking their safety issues serious, and this is the time to act. So yes, the timing could cause some inconvenience, but it is in response to the feeling of the general public. Now, the whole sentiment out there is as if our stations are not safe. So we need to react. We need to let the Ghanaian know that it is not as if our operations are not safe, but we have even taken this extra step to step up issues of safety with our delivery.
How much will this cost your members?
A lot, because the team has a lot of technical people. The team has a lot of people who have the know-how in terms of the delivery. So we are ready, because it is safety we are talking about here, to sacrifice the little we have to promote this agenda.
I see. You still didn't tell me when it's going to end.
You see, because it's a technical issue, it is a mandate you've given them, and it is a check of integrity of installation. So if you put time limits, and probably it might put some pressure on them, but we want to give them the free hand to carry on the mandate we have given them. So as to time limit, it would have to come from the team we have constituted.
I don't buy that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you see, let me tell you something.
And I'm sure a lot of my viewers won't buy that either.
Let me explain it further. Probably you would understand. We have given a team a mandate. And your mandate is that, listen, there have been issues with the integrity of our installations. So go ahead, carry on an audit, carry on checks for us, issues of safety. Let us know the way forward. Advise our people as to the best way to go about it. Then if you finish, sign them off. So probably it could take them a day. It's a technical thing. That is why we can't actually tell Ghanaians the exact time that this whole thing, it could even end today, who knows? Because we believe in their competence, we believe in their technical ability. So it is not as if it's something deliberate we are doing, but we believe that we don't want to put pressure on these people, competent people we've put together to work.
I don't know, but I just can't find, let's say, as a gas consumer, I just can't find a way within me to accept this kind of explanation. I mean, the shop, the outlet is yours, yes. But I depend on you as well for to move on. So if you're telling me that you're closing it down and you don't really have a plan, you don't, first of all, there's no contingency plan. We don't know when happen. It's like we're just you're just thrown us out there in the deep end, and we don't know what's going to happen.
You see, we are in charge of your safety. The moment you step into our premises to buy gas, we are in charge of your safety. And if we are saying that because of your safety, we are doing A, B, C, D because of your safety, I think the best thing is probably to help us carry on what we are doing in terms. Because we are in charge of your safety, I think the best thing is for us to help us to carry on the mandates. Because you see, you might need gas today, probably you won't get it, but you can't compare that to going to a filling station knowing very well that issues of your safety is not something you are really sure of. So I think if you should weigh the two, you would allow us to go ahead with what we really want to do.
Okay, so it then tells me that since you're organizing these audits, it tells me that a lot of your stations were substandard.
No.
And lots of your stations were substandard on safety precautions.
Not at all. You know, what we did was we interacted with the members who had their outlets closed down. So we engaged them as to what pertains or what transpires when the audit team from MPA visits. So we got a cue from what has transpired over closures of some outlets.
Exactly, which is why, and you're even making my point for me, because the point is that the point I'm making is that if after 31 stations were closed, you realize that, well, we don't know what the NPA is really looking out for, maybe.
And
which is something that I still...
No, is that not surprising?
Hold on, which is something, yes, that's something that I still find mind-boggling, that you are in an industry and you don't know what is required of you in terms of safety precautions. So that is one.
Not so.
So that is one. Please let me land. That is one. Secondly, if after they did the audit, 31 of your stations were closed down, and now you're saying that you are closing yourself, you're shutting yourself down, or let's say you're closing all the outlets that belongs to you down so that you can perform an internal audit. It tells me that what you have realized from the NPA's closure of the other 31 is that it may affect most of the others when it comes to it.
You see, not entirely so.
Okay.
What we also realized was that after the explosion, the NPA, they come for routine checks. It's not as if the NPA does not do the routine regular checks. But what we got was that this particular one has something extra with it. Because it's not as if ever since our operation we are not audited by the NPA. It is a regular thing they do. If they can't see anything which is untoward at your end, you are put through the processes to rectify same. But this time we realize that extra staff have been added. That is why that is why we have found it necessary to do what we are doing.
Okay, I'll come to you so that you tell us what the extra stuff is. What was and what is now? What is it that they're adding, so that you tell us? But let me announce to you, our cherished viewers, that I've been joined in the studio by Yusuf Suleimana. He's a gas expert. He's a former staff, actually worked before at the Tema Oil Refinery. He's also a chemical expert and currently with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC. Yusuf, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let me find out from you. I'm sure you've listened into a bit of our conversation.
Yes,
do you buy
right.
any of the explanation from the gas, the gas operators? I was going to say gas sellers. Sounds quite crude. Anyway, right.
Yeah, thank you very much. I must confess I haven't heard the full picture of it.
Okay.
But I'll just tell you the perspective of an expert so far as this LPG gas is concerned.
Very well, because you are a consumer and you're
Yes.
speaking for consumers, that's why I'm coming to you from that angle, so that you tell me whether or not it makes sense to you that they're closing down their outlets because they say they don't want the NPA to come closing down those outlets, as in that's what the NPA has done since the atomic explosion.
Yeah. So what I think is there has to be a broad-based discussion. There has to be a mutual discussion, a symbiotic discussion between the two parties.
Okay.
Because in this case, if you have two players, they always say that if two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers.
And the grass is already suffering. People are stranded already.
Yeah, that's correct. So I simply don't buy the idea of, I don't support it. I don't subscribe to the fact that they should close down.
Right.
What I think is they can reach out and have a discussion the way forward.
Okay, with who? With government?
With
or
the government,
the NPA?
NPA, all the players that are involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you done that?
Since the directive, we haven't had any call from any association or authority.
Okay.
Since the directive.
All right.
We have met to deliberate the directives.
But have you reached out to them like he's saying? He's saying that this is a point where to take this decision, you should, reach out to authorities and find out from them.
A directive has been imposed by authority, and it was out of discussing the directive that this whole idea of shutting down came up. So we are still in the process of deliberating the directive.
Yeah, so
and
his
we'll
point
be coming
then is
out as a when we feel like
so then
there's
he's
a
saying
need.
that instead of the first thing you do, so the first thing is like you're jumping the gun. The first
No,
thing you
we are
do,
not.
according to he's representing consumers, is that you reach out before you take this action that you've taken.
You see, the issue is about closing down outlets. The issue is about integrity of our operations. If you close down an outlet, the general message to the Ghanaian public that it is not safe. That is it. It has to do with a lot of integrity, because if your regulator comes doing that, it's better for you to do a self-assessment and recognize what probably is expected of you than allowing a regulator who will come and just close you down.
Okay, let me bring you back in, Yusuf. I don't know, but from an expert's view, like you were saying earlier, where are we at, and how best could we have handled this situation?
Yeah, before I come in as an expert, as I mentioned already, It's not a full blanket statement when I said they don't have to take the step that they have taken.
Okay.
Personally, or also, I think also the regulator could have a broad-based discussion with them.
Okay.
To tell them what is required of them.
So the regulator could also be the one reaching out to them.
Yes, that's correct. Because these are two players, and I did mention that if these things happen, probably they are not going to struggle that much. Of course, they will lose a little bit in terms of business earnings. But at the end of the day, it's the consumer who suffers.
Okay.
I mentioned that these two guys are fighting, showing muscles. And at the end of the day, it's the consumer who is going to bear the full brunt of this struggle.
Okay.
So coming back as an expert, so going forward, they have to sit down and have a broad-based discussion. What do we expect from us? I don't also think going down to close the stations is the right thing to do.
Okay.
I mean, it's the best option out.
Why not?
It's not the best option out, in my opinion, in the sense that, listen, listen, we have an incident. It's coming from a precedent. And that's what I'll just join it from the, the expert point of view.
Okay.
It's coming from a precedent. I presuppose that some audit should have been carried out, right, to come up with the idea that this is actually the cause of the incident, right?
Okay.
Now, we are not privy as a consumer, as I sit here. I'm not privy to any formal audit that is certified, that has come out to tell me the actual cause of the incident that we are currently struggling with,
Okay.
right? Now, if that is done and everybody clearly knows that this is the root cause, once the root cause is not yet established, it is very difficult for you to take a unilateral decision on one partner involved.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
going forward, I think we have to have a root cause analysis, see where these issues are coming from, and then nip it in the bud. Right. So, but to go forward to have, close down stations, right?
That for you is not okay.
I think it's not okay. They have to have a discussion.
As a gas expert,
Yeah.
I don't know the level, the extent of knowledge you have about how many gas stations, for example, we have in this system. To what extent are we at risk?
My dear, we are at serious risk, if I will tell you. I'm saying that because we have this incident, about 8 of them within 3 years. Let's do simple mathematics. 3 years means 36 months. Divide 36 by the number of incidents, that is 8.
I'll need a calculator for
No problem. You will get about 4, like 4.5. Let's say 5 months.
Okay.
Telling you that every 5 months we are getting these incidences. But these incidences are those that are reported.
Right.
There are others that might not be reported at all.
True.
Right. So what is happening? Does that mean that we have to wait for the incident to happen before we take action? No.
Which is what I think the gas operators have done. He doesn't agree with me, but that is my own accusation of you. If this hasn't happened, for the NPA to go around closing down outlets, you probably wouldn't be conducting this.
Well, they also have gone around closing down outlets.
No, but the fact that 2 wrongs don't make a right. At the end of the day, the point is making, it is those of us who are suffering. Those of us who are on the ground are suffering from the actions and inactions of both of the institutions. But land with your point, and then I can take his final
I'll
comments.
come to them. The gas, the gas, those who handle those are the operators also. This is a capital-intensive project, right? Now, when a safety incident happens, there are 4 things that we're looking at here. We are looking at first the people who are involved. First, we are looking at the asset. We are looking at the environment, and we are looking at the reputation of the company that is involved.
Right.
Now, a capital-intensive project of that nature, when it lands or when it happens, what simply happens is that there's going to be massive loss of investment.
Right.
Right. I don't know whether you remember this BP incident that happened somewhere in 2005. Look, as an operator, I advise them that they should take this motto as their symbol: business first, but safety must. Look,
and who are you advising? The gas operators?
Yes, the gas expert. Yeah, sorry, the gas operators.
Right.
Take it that business first, but safety must.
Okay.
Look, if you have loose safety lapses, right, and anything untoward happen, all your investment will go to the drain.
Okay.
And I tell you, when BP, the incident happened in 2010 in BP, the CEO
they lost
had
a
to
lot
go.
of money.
Yes.
Right.
Even after now, they still have litigations. Up to now, how many years?
Okay.
So if you know that you're going to lose this massive investment, then
why don't you do the right thing in the first place?
Do the right thing in the first place.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So and the right thing is what I'm going to say now. I don't know
Okay.
whether
Let's make it. Yeah. Let's make it quick.
Yes, the right thing is what I'm going to say now.
Please.
First of all, we have to have the requisite training I'll tell you something simple about fire triangle. Fire triangle, how fire happened. There are 3 components that brings about fire. You have the fuel source, you have the source of heat, and you have the combustible material. Sorry, air. Sorry, we have air, fuel source, which is the combustible material, and the heat. Now, when the 3 things come together in the right proportion, then you have a fire. We only need spark, then we have fire.
Okay.
Right. Now, as a gas operator, you have to be aware of this. And then what you should do is you should have what we call zero tolerance to leak.
Okay.
If we have leak sources and all these incidents, if we trace it, though we haven't come up with any technical audit to tell us what happened, it's basically due to loss of containment, what we call process leak. So when there is leak, and then you're unable to contain it, the leak travels. The gas will travel to any available source. Now it only looking for an opportunity to get a spark. Now when it gets the spark, it has to travel back to where the leak source was had been generated.
And then there's an
and then you have a huge explosion.
Yeah.
That's basically happened. Now, if you're an operator and you have an idea about this basic preamble or this basic phenomenon, you should not feel safe in operating your station when you know that you have loose connections.
Okay.
That's very important. This they have to know.
All right.
Once they are aware of this and they take that responsibility and they know that business first but safety must. It's
Then it's a good way for us to go.
Yes, that's also their responsibility.
Okay.
Now, on the aspect of the NPA or the regulator, if there is time, I could still come on how they could also challenge.
We've got to make it real fast,
Okay.
real quick on that. But let me take, Mr. Radio, let me take your final thoughts. Your final thoughts on this matter. I'm sure that what he has said is something that you're not unaware of. It's something that you know. Can we, as insignificant as I may be in your field, puts in a very humble request that you speak to your members and that you review this decision that you've taken?
Well, final thoughts, I would say that it is not as if we are acting knowing very well probably the effects of our actions and that is going to probably bite somebody. We are acting because of Ghanaian safety.
Yes, you keep saying that, but Ghanaians...
Let me finish. We are acting because of the safety of our customers. We are acting because of integrity issues. We are acting so that Ghanaians will know that the moment they step onto the field where we operate, they are safe. Okay. Nobody should take it that we're just doing this to spite anybody. You see, we are business people. If we don't sell, we don't make business. Right. We have people to pay. We have a lot of utilities to pay. So nobody would, like they say, put coal at his bosom. It is something, even for us, it is difficult, but we think it is out of necessity. So Ghanaians should just bear with us.
We are going to do... at least? Tell us how long.
It won't...
What did you decide when you met, when you went to that meeting? What did you decide? You should have come up with a time.
Like I told you...
Is it indefinite?
No. You see, I told you it's a mandate we've given to some technical people.
Yes.
And I would be probably going ahead of them to give time limits.
So right now, everything depends on the technical people.
That is the point we'll
Who
be
are
making.
These technical people?
Oh, they are people withdrawn from various sources.
Can we have some names?
Oh, for now, we would just want to keep it on the low. Because you see, they have been given a mandate.
Okay.
It wouldn't be as if we put them in the public domain. They are getting distracted with calls here and there and all that. So let's just keep...
So as it stands, it's indefinite because we have to depend on the technical team that's been put together to determine at least when this will end.
We await their results.
If the NPA promises you that they will not shut down any, or if there has to be something like the NPA is no longer going to be shutting down your outlets, will that make you start work?
No, you see, now they triggered it, but we are doing it now for ourselves.
Yes, so but if they come out and they say we are not, because one of the things you have given us, one of the reasons you have given us is that you don't want the NPA to come shutting down your outlets. So if they should come out to say, for example, the president calls the NPA boss and says, what you have done, look at what it's going to cost. There's a crisis on our hands. If the president does that and then the NPA calls you, is this a decision that you're going to review?
You see, as I told you,
yes or no?
Their actions triggered or probably informed.
You have said that, but this is like the fourth time.
So now we are doing it for ourselves and for Ghanaians.
This is like the fourth time you have said that. You have not given me an answer yet.
We need to
yes or no?
No, we need to get the results from our team.
So even if the president calls you and says that, can we have, we're having a crisis on our hands, can we change this decision? You would still say no.
We need to confer with the technical people we've put together.
I see. Yes. All right. Okay. Let me take your final words, Mr. Yusuf.
going forward, what I think is, I'll repeat what I said.
You're going to talk about the NPA before. You can use that as a
Yes,
wrap-up.
probably the time might not, because it's the time might not permit us.
Right?
But what I can what I can say is, as I mentioned from the beginning, we are vulnerable as consumers. You are a consumer. I'm a consumer.
Yes.
What do we deserve?
And I'm sure he will get gas.
We don't.
No,
we don't
no,
deserve
You
this.
I
can
don't.
still get gas.
Oh, where do I get it?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I'll just say that they are showing us muscles, right? Because as the writer said, it is just a reaction to what NPA has done.
Exactly.
Not
So-
entirely.
Exactly.
No,
I
no,
Please-
said,
that's-
it, I
please
said
let
it
him land.
triggered it.
Please let him land.
Okay.
Please
Yes,
let him land.
it's just a reaction, if I may put it
It's
that way.
a trigger.
Okay.
The action triggered it.
Well, let's
But we
put
are
it-
doing it for ourselves and for the safety of the entire Ghanaian.
That's correct. It's just a choice of words, right?
I agree. I agree. I agree. Please
Yeah.
wrap up with your point.
Yeah. So let's say every action there's an
First of
equal
all,
and
you said,
opposite
and I
reaction.
want you to
Yes.
repeat that point again. We
Okay.
don't deserve it.
Yes.
You think it is a reaction. People are showing. These two people who are involved in this are trying to show off muscles.
Yes. So
And
at the end of the day, I mentioned that when these two guys are trying to show who is stronger than the other, then the consumer is bear the full brand of the consumer is the one who's going to, lose at the end of the day. They will lose also,
What
of
about
course,
the consumer
business-wise.
safety?
At the end of the day, they are all businessmen. I mean, they are all consumers, as a matter of fact. But as you rightly said, they might have a way of getting.
Oh, they
Oh,
will.
it is not.
They will.
It is never
They
the
will. We
case.
don't even want to
It
go
is-
in.
It is never the
We
case.
need to wrap up. We need to wrap
is
up. We
never
don't
the
even
So
have to
they have
go
to
into that
talk.
bit of
They
the
have to talk.
conversation.
Really,
now.
they have to talk.
They have to talk.
You have to sit down and talk. Really.
Rather than take these draconian
Unilateral-
measures,
yes.
that's hitting very hard at
I
Ghanaians.
don't think it's fair to describe what we have done as.
I mean,
draconian.
we understand that you need to. It's an internal
So what would you
integrity
what would
audit
you want?
to say.
High safety, security in
Certainly
delivery.
high safety.
Definitely. So then help us do it.
I see.
Yeah, help us.
Okay, let's leave the conversation here. Hopefully, as the days go along, and I foresee, if this should go on, I foresee a lot of queues, and a lot of chaos, and a lot of build-up of anger, frustrations. But we'll see how it goes, and I'm sure that based on that, we'll have both of you on the show once again. Bernard Oredu speaks for the gas retailers. And as well, I had in the studio Yusuf Suleiman, who is a gas expert and representing COPEC in this particular discussion. Still watching The Pulse.